Long ago, beyond the golden savannas and winding rivers, there stood a village called Akoma. The people of Akoma believed their lives were protected by a sacred fire that burned day and night in the center of the village. According to ancient stories passed down by the elders, the fire had not come from ordinary wood or flame. It had been gifted by the stars themselves many generations earlier. As long as the sacred fire continued burning, the village would enjoy peace, good harvests, and protection from the darkness that wandered beyond the hills. Every evening, families gathered around the glowing flame, while elders told stories and children laughed beneath the stars. The fire became more than a source of light. It became the heart of Akoma itself. But one cold season, something impossible happened. Just before dawn, the sacred fire suddenly died. The glowing embers faded into darkness, and for the first time in centuries, silence filled the center of the village. Fear spread quickly among the people. No matter how many torches the villagers brought, no matter how much dry wood they gathered, the sacred flame refused to return. The elders searched through ancient scrolls and forgotten stories until they discovered a warning hidden within the oldest legend. The sacred fire could only be relit by a spark taken directly from the stars. Without it, darkness would slowly consume the village. The people grew frightened as the days passed. Crops began to wither. Cold winds swept across the land. At night, strange shadows appeared beyond the village boundaries, watching from the distant hills. Among the worried villagers lived a young boy named Tano. Tano was 15 years old, brave beyond his years, and known for asking questions others were afraid to ask. While many villagers waited for a miracle, Tano refused to believe that Akoma was doomed. One evening, he visited his grandmother, Abeni, the oldest storyteller in the village. Her small hut sat beneath a giant baobab tree near the edge of the savannah. As the last rays of sunlight faded across the grasslands, Tano asked if there was any way to save the sacred fire. Grandmother Abeni remained silent for a long moment before speaking. She told him of an ancient place called the Mountain of Stars, a towering peak hidden beyond forests, rivers, and rocky valleys. According to legend, an immortal being known as the Star Keeper lived there. The Star Keeper guarded the fires of heaven and watched over the stars that lit the night sky. It was said that only those with pure intentions could reach the summit and ask for a gift from the heavens. But every gift carried a price. Many travelers had attempted the journey centuries ago. None had returned. Abeni warned Tano that some mysteries were dangerous to pursue. Yet as she looked into her grandson's determined eyes, she knew his mind was already made up. Before dawn the next morning, Tano packed a small satchel of food, embraced his grandmother, and began the long journey toward the Mountain of Stars. For days, Tano traveled across the vast African landscape. He crossed golden grassland, where herds of antelope raced across the horizon. He walked through dense forests, where ancient trees blocked the sunlight. He climbed steep, rocky cliffs, while powerful winds howled through narrow mountain passes. Along the way, he encountered many challenges that tested his courage. One night, he became lost in a forest filled with glowing eyes watching from the darkness. Another day, he nearly fell while crossing a narrow stone bridge suspended above a deep canyon. Yet each time fear threatened to overwhelm him, Tano remembered the villagers depending on him back home. Finally, after many days of travel, he reached the Mountain of Stars. The mountain rose higher than anything he had ever seen. Its peak disappeared into silver clouds, glowing with strange celestial light. As night fell, thousands of stars seemed to circle around the summit like living fireflies. Gathering his courage, Tano began climbing. The journey upward was difficult and exhausting. Sharp rocks caught his hands. Cold winds pushed against him with tremendous force, but he refused to stop. Near midnight, he finally reached the summit. There, standing upon a vast stone platform beneath a sky filled with countless stars, he saw a figure waiting for him. The Star Keeper appeared. Unlike any being Tano had ever imagined, the skin shimmered like molten gold beneath the starlight. Constellations glowed softly across their body, and long silver-white hair flowed around them as though drifting underwater. The glowing eyes seemed to contain entire galaxies. For a moment, Tano could barely speak. The Starkeeper studied him silently before finally asking why he had come. Tano explained everything: the dying fire, the frightened villagers, and the darkness spreading across Akoma. When he finished speaking, the Starkeeper remained quiet. Then they slowly raised one hand toward the heavens. A brilliant spark descended from the stars and floated gently into their palm. The spark shone brighter than any flame Tano had ever seen. It pulsed with warmth, hope, and ancient power. The Starkeeper explained that this spark could indeed relight the sacred fire, but every gift from the heavens required balance. To carry the starfire back to Akoma, Tano would have to surrender something precious in return. Tano hesitated. He had expected a challenge, but not a sacrifice. The Starkeeper told him he could refuse and return home safely. Yet without the spark, Akoma would eventually fall into darkness. After thinking carefully, Tano made his choice. He offered his most treasured possession, not an object, but a memory. He chose to surrender the memory of the happiest day of his childhood. A day spent laughing with his parents before they passed away years earlier. Though the thoughts filled him with sadness, he knew saving the village mattered more than holding on to a single memory. The Starkeeper accepted the sacrifice. As the glowing spark settled into a crystal vessel, Tano felt a gentle ache inside his heart. The precious memory slowly faded away, like mist beneath the morning sun. He could still remember his parents, but the joyful details of that special day were gone forever. Though sadness touched him deeply, he felt no regret. Carrying the bow so carefully, Tano began the long journey home. The starfire illuminated his path through forests, valleys, and grasslands. When he finally returned to Akoma, the villagers rushed to greet him, with tears of hope in their eyes. Grandmother Abeni embraced him tightly as he carried the crystal vessel toward the center of the village. Slowly, Tano released the starfire into the ancient heart. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, brilliant golden flames erupted upward into the night sky. The sacred fire burned brighter than ever before. Warmth spread across the village. The cold winds vanished. The crops slowly recovered. The strange shadows beyond the hills disappeared into the darkness. Akoma was saved. The villagers celebrated throughout the night with songs, dancing, and gratitude. Yet as Tano watched the flames flicker beneath the stars, he felt the empty space where his treasured memory had once lived. He understood something important then. Some gifts are so valuable that they require sacrifice, and true courage is not the absence of loss. It is the willingness to give up something precious for the good of others. From that day forward, the people of Akoma honored Tano's journey every year. by gathering around the sacred fire to share stories beneath the stars. And whenever children asked why the flames burned so brightly, the elders would smile and tell them of the boy who borrowed fire from the stars and brought hope back to the world.